Hey guys, it's January the 21st, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a great, safe, and warm day today. It is officially snowing outside, which is the reason I am in the house again today. It is freezing cold out there, and I'm not going to be sitting out in the snow filming today. Anyway, I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll be able to get back outside soon. I really don't like filming inside the house, but it is what it is. What I wanted to talk about today, I was actually just having a conversation with somebody, and just a topic of friends that come up, and it made me think, how our friends do tend to change a lot of times whenever we get sober. And this is one of those things that I haven't really talked about a whole lot on here, and I haven't seen a lot of other people talking about this as well, but it's true and it happens. And I'm not saying that everybody's gonna lose friends or change friends or anything like that, but I would say for a majority of people, you are gonna at least you're going to lose some friends, or so-called friends, what you consider to be a friend. But I think when we get sober, we start to really question those relationships and start to wonder, is this person really a friend of mine, or are they a drinking buddy? And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is, the difference between friends and drinking buddies, and how when we get sober, those drinking buddies tend to just kind of disappear out of our life. And, the thing is that sometimes, we can, take those drinking buddies and they can turn into really good friends. And sometimes those drinking buddies of ours might decide to hop on the sober wagon with us, which can change the dynamic of our relationship. But I would say for the most part, from what I have seen, and this is just in my life and other people that I've spoken to, because I do have a lot of friends who have gotten sober, that I've been friends with for a long time. And we were, we drank together back in the day. And, these are people that I might speak to occasionally, but not often. But once again, these people that I used to hang around with, their friends have changed, their relationships overall have changed, their lives have changed, just every aspect of their life has changed as they've gotten sober. And, that's what I want to talk about today, because I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I think it's one of those things that, once again, I just don't think a lot of people discuss, and people go into sobriety not thinking about this aspect of it. And I think it's important, for us, especially in the beginning of sobriety, to try to connect with others that are on the same path as us, because it gives us a way to have someone to communicate with who is trying to move in the same direction that we are in life. And if you're trying to, kind of like, piggybacking off of what I was talking about yesterday, how we discuss sobriety with people, and portraying it in a good light and talking about what we have gained opposed to what we have lost, I think is really important. But at the same time, people that are still drinking, especially our drinking buddies, you might be able to have a conversation with them. And once again, I'm not saying go out there and start trying to bang it into people's head to get sober. They have to make that decision for themselves. Everybody watching this knows as well as I do that you're not going to get sober until you are ready to do it. It took me, my whole entire life, and until I was laying on my deathbed, to go, this enough's enough, and I'm ready to make a change. But once again, we lose our drinking buddies, and sometimes it can just happen organically, which I think most of the time is usually what ends up happening. Just organically, we kind of disconnect from those people, or sometimes we might go, I just don't want to be around this person anymore. They're just not good for me. Every time you get around certain individuals, they're constantly berating you and trying to get you to drink with them, which was who I was when I was a drinker. I've spoken about this, but I was that guy that was always like, take a shot. Come on, take a shot with me. You want to do this. Come on. Don't let me be the only one drinking. And the whole spiel. But it's one of those things that, like I said, it just kind of happens organically most of the time because, number one, you're not hanging out at bars anymore. And where do you usually run into those same people at? At the bar or a club or, whatever restaurant that you usually go to or whatever it is. I frequented all kinds of different places. I frequented certain restaurants I would go to because I knew a lot of the people there, or I would frequent a certain bar because I knew certain people there. And I was in the restaurant industry my whole entire life too, so that didn't really help my situation because I knew everybody everywhere I went. If I walked into a bar, I knew at least somebody there. And, with being in F&B, and especially as long as I have been, and the small town that I live in, whenever I walked into a bar, most of the time, I might pay for a beer, and I drank a lot. I walked into a place and next thing you know, I order a beer or a drink or something. Next thing you know, shots start sliding towards me and they say, hey, this guy over here just bought you this shot, or, this person over here just bought you a drink, or, people start taking rounds of shots at the bar and I would get included. And, that's just the way it works, especially when you're in the food industry, because everybody looks out for everybody and that. But back to what I was talking about, I think it's one of those things. It's typical. It's normal. And I think that if you're someone that's new to sobriety, let's say you just got sober, here recently, the beginning of this month, because there's a lot of people who get sober at the beginning of the year, and you're starting to notice, that since you've gotten sober, certain people that you thought were your friends aren't hanging around as much anymore or at all. And I think there's multiple aspects of why that happens. One of them, like I said, I think is just it's just organic. You're not drinking anymore. You're not going to these certain places anymore. You're trying to avoid alcohol, so you're not speaking to these people as much. Where you might have placed a call on a Friday night at 7:00 to this certain group of people or a certain individual. Well, now you're trying to stay sober, so maybe you don't call that person because you don't want to be, pressured into talking or whatever, pressured into drinking or whatever. But at the same time as well, I think another aspect of this is that when we get sober, sometimes those people that are still drinking, we can make them feel a little bit uncomfortable, and they might not want to be around us. They might be afraid that we're going to, like I was talking about yesterday, start thumping the big book in front of them and keep trying to push them into getting sober and stuff like that. So they might want to try to avoid us. There might be a little bit of, they don't understand where you're trying to go with this, and it confuses them. So it might just make them feel uncomfortable, and they might not want to come around because of that. But I think for the most part, though, it just kind of just happens organically. You might just speak to these people. It just happens less and less frequently, and you think that, this certain individual or group of individuals that you used to hang out with like all the time. Because when we're drinking, and especially if you hang around in bars or you have people over at your house all the time, my thing back in the day was not just going out, but we lived in a really small neighborhood, and all of these people that moved into this neighborhood together, we all went to school together. We all knew each other from high school. We had been friends since high school, and we were all drinking buddies. We all used certain substances together when we were in high school. And, I was one of the first ones. As a matter of fact, I think I was the first one to move into this neighborhood. I think there might have been like maybe 8 houses in the neighborhood that I moved into. We bought a house on a corner lot, moved in there, and then people just started moving in. And there might have been one other person, I think, that lived over there that we were friends with, but friends of ours started moving into our neighborhood. As a matter of fact, my best friend bought a house right across the street from me. And he also worked with me. We had worked together since, I think, like 1997. And, we had our daughters right at the same time. Our daughters are like a week apart in age. So both of us had our first kids right at the same time. And it just made sense. Our daughters were really good friends, so why not, he move in right across the street from me, our kids could play, and that just kept happening. So like all these different people kept moving into the neighborhood, so my neighborhood became this like huge party neighborhood. Everybody hung out with each other. It was like every night when I came home from work, there were people standing out in their garage. I got flagged down, or either I stopped. If I saw people standing out in their garage at midnight, I just stopped. I would have a 12-pack of beer or something in my cooler and a bottle of liquor back there anyway, or they had alcohol. I always stopped if I saw somebody out. Or when I pulled up, a bunch of my neighbors lived right around me. I mean, like right across the street, like a bunch of them were beside me. And when I pulled up, they were outside, or either they would, they would give me a call and say, "What are you up to? I saw you pull in." I used to tell my wife, I'm like, I can't even walk outside to cut the grass without somebody flagging me down and saying, "You want to have a beer?" And it could be a Tuesday afternoon at 12 o'clock, and somebody's going, "Hey man, come over here and have a beer with me." It was like that all the time. It was so hard to avoid those people. If I wanted to stay away from alcohol, which I tried to do so many times, I basically had to lock myself in the house and just not even come out. And that was almost impossible to do in that neighborhood. People were always texting me or calling me or whatever, and it was just really hard to get away with it, get away from it. And that's one of the reasons that we moved away from there. We wanted to have a farm, but we also just wanted to get out of the neighborhood. And we got out of that neighborhood, moved into the house that we live in now. Not too much longer after that, I quit my job thinking, okay, I've already moved away from my old home. Now I'm going to leave my job, and this is going to make me quitting so much easier, which it didn't. My drinking actually just got worse, but I had this wild idea that running away from my problems was going to fix them, and it didn't fix anything. Like I said, it just made it worse. And all these people that I was trying to get away from, well, guess what? They just started coming out here to my house out here. They just had to drive a little bit further to come hang out. And out here we could light these huge bonfires and all this kind of stuff and, act really crazy on my property. It was my property. I wasn't trespassing. We could be out there shooting fireworks or whatever in the middle of the night. And that's what we did. So like the first year and a half or so of us, 2 years of us living here, people just kept coming out here. But then, then I got sick, and all of a sudden, all those people kind of disappeared off the map. And it didn't happen overnight. It was one of those things where it just gradually happened, very slowly. I just talked to these people less and less and less and less. And as time went on, it might have been a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year since I've spoken to these people. And now there's most of my friends or friends that I used to hang around with, my drinking buddies from back in the day, I haven't spoken to in a couple of years. Heck, I think most of them probably don't even know that I'm sick. Or they probably do. I just haven't spoken to them. And like I said, I live in a really small town, so word travels fast through here. But it's one of those things that, like I said, I think that when we first go into sobriety, we don't think about this aspect of it and how we're going to probably lose a bunch of our friends. But, I really want you to think about that. Were they your friends, or were they just drinking buddies? And I want you to think about it like this. How many times on a Friday or a Saturday night, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're standing around or sitting around a bonfire, or you're sitting in a bar or a club, or just name the scenario, but you're surrounded by a bunch of people that you really don't like the conversation with. How many times were you in that situation where you were having conversation with people that it really wasn't interesting? You really didn't want to be there. You didn't even understand why you were there. You just kind of wanted to go home, but you were just kind of hanging out because this is just what you do when you drink. Because that used to be me all the time. These conversations I would have that were pointless. They didn't go anywhere. It was the same conversations all the time with the same group of people, getting into arguments about the same things that didn't mean anything. We were never getting anywhere with anything, you know. People stumbling home at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning from meeting up at one of our houses and, you know, waking up the next day going, I'm never doing that again. And I'm not hanging out like that anymore. Like, that was pointless. Or, you know, just all those things. You know, think about how many times you've hung around with certain groups of people or certain individuals that you really, after sitting around thinking about it, you're like, I'm not even really friends with this person. We don't talk on the phone, or we don't text each other like that unless we're meeting up to have a drink, or, you know, unless some kind of substance or alcohol is involved, you guys don't have anything in common. And I can say that for most of the people that I used to hang around with back in the day, we had absolutely nothing in common. We weren't even friends. And as soon as the alcohol got removed from my life, we stopped talking with each other. And my feelings aren't hurt one bit about it at all. It's totally fine. And, you know, people grow, people move on, people start new lives, change their lives, new jobs, families, all kinds of stuff. And things like that are going to happen. That's just the cycle of life. But a lot of those people, when I stopped drinking and stopped going out and hanging out, those people just kind of fell off the map. And once again, my feelings aren't hurt at all. And that's why I want to talk about this today, is so that, for one, if you're brand new to sobriety and you're the type of person that used to hang out all the time and go out and do all this kind of stuff, I want you to be prepared for the fact that a lot of those people are probably going to be removed from your life, however it works out. And for the most part, I think it's just going to be organic. You guys are just going to stop talking so much. And I think you're probably going to try to avoid them a little bit too, because not that you don't like them or anything like that, but they're doing other thing,s and you're trying to get away from that life. So why keep putting yourself into that situation when you already know, I really don't want to be there? And you're going to put yourself in that situation, and somebody's going to say, hey, man, have a beer, or have a shot, or let me make you a drink. And why go do that? You know, every time you go to Susie's house, and if your name's Susie, I apologize, name I just came up with out of the blue. But let's say every time you go to Susie's house, Susie's got a refrigerator full of wine. And every time you go to Susie's house, the first thing she does is pour you a big glass of wine. You guys sit down and have wine talk. Let's say you try to go over there since being sober, and Susie, as soon as you sit down, tries to offer you that glass of wine. You say, no, thank you, I don't drink it. I'm trying to be sober right now. I'm trying to change my life for whatever reason. And Susie keeps pressuring you. Come on, have a glass of wine with me. Have a glass of wine, have a glass of wine. And you finally go, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here. And you decide not to go back to Susie's house anymore because Susie would not lay off trying to pressure you into drinking with her. Because if there is one thing that I can promise you that I know for a 100% fact, is that misery loves company. It really does, because I was that guy. I used to be the guy that didn't want to drink alone. And if I was drinking alone, I didn't feel right. I felt like I was doing something wrong. So I wanted everybody else to join in with me. So I would start pressuring other people to drink with me, and I was good at it. And I'm not bragging about that. I just kept pressuring until people would, go along with me. But once again, misery loves company. And, if you keep trying to hang around with these people that are continuing to drink, they don't want to be the only one in the room drinking. They don't want to be alone. It makes them feel uncomfortable. So I think it's just natural for those people to kind of disappear out of our lives. And like I said, that's why I want to talk about this today, just so that you're aware that if you are or were the type of person that used to go out all the time, or you had a lot of drinking buddies, you're probably going to lose some of them, if not most of them. But that's just what happens when we grow. you know, and we move on with our life and try to improve, sometimes we have to, you know, cut off the dead weight so that we can prosper. You know, sometimes that dead weight can hold us down, and we can't reach the sky until we let it go. And, you know, that can hurt sometimes. We can feel alone. And I get it. I really do. I was always surrounded by people, constantly surrounded by people. And the next time that I bring my wife on, which I haven't had her on here in a very, very long time, but the next time I bring her on, I'll bring that up. I mean, she could tell you guys, I was surrounded by people back in the day. There was always someone around me. Even here, there was always someone hanging out with me. If not multiple people were hanging around with me. And I became accustomed to that type of lifestyle, always having people with me. And then I got sober after I got sick, which was a challenge in itself too, because not only was I sober, but I was also ill, which really hampered me being able to hang around with people. But I started seeing that people weren't coming around like they used to. I wasn't trying to hang around with people like I used to. And as time went on, those relationships just kind of separated and kind of fizzled out. And now I don't really hang around with anybody. And that's totally fine. I've got a few friends, but the few friends that I do have now are real, true friends that I can trust, that they know where I'm at in my life, they know that I'm sober, and these people I know would never try to pressure me into doing something that I don't want to do, I'm not going to do, or anything like that, because we have a mutual understanding, and they are real friends. They're not just drinking buddies. So, guys, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It is snowing out there really good right now. I think I'm going to stop this and take you guys outside for a second and just let you see the snow really fast before I exit for today. But my chest, I'm sorry, I've just got a little bit of stuff going on in there. I don't know if I'm getting a little bit sick or not, but it is super cold outside too, so that could be it. But anyway, guys, like I said, it's just part of the way this works out. It just naturally kind of happens, and it's nothing to be upset about, you know. Just look for new people to befriend, people that are maybe sober like you are. I respect the fact that you are. And, you know, that's why maybe going to like an AA or a church, or finding a group, NA or something like that, where you can find like-minded people. You might be able to make some really good new friends. So, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. Until tomorrow, I will see y'all then. Y'all have a great rest of your day. And please be safe out there. If you live in any of the states that's getting snow right now, this is supposed to be like really bad. The roads are already cold. It's been really cold the past few days. And, you know, if you're in one of these southern states getting the snow, you know, we don't get snow that often. So maybe you know how to drive well in it, but it's not saying that everybody else knows how to drive well in the snow. So just please be careful. And unless you really have to go out, just stay home if you can. That's going to be your best, safest bet. Guys, thank you so much, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye. It is really coming down out here pretty good. When I went to sit downstairs to film today's video, there wasn't a bit of snow on the ground, not one bit, and this is already. Since I sent on today's video, that's how much snow has already accumulated. So in a matter of like 20 minutes, that's how much snow has already fallen. It's crazy. This is going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. That's for sure. Already got snow all over the... I mean, it's on there. Yeah. It's going to be pretty cool. My kids are going to be super excited about it. So, anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that. It's coming down. Y'all have a great day, guys.